Alright guys, decided to make a little video here. Oh man, it's been rough. Been sick, had pneumonia, was real sick for a couple weeks, and work's just been super busy, so haven't really got to get any exciting content out to you guys. Just been trying to get better and just trying to get jobs done at work. But decided to make a little video here. It's the weekend, I'm at home. I'm in the garage right now cleaning up, and that old girl there, pulled her out, warmed her up a little bit. Weather's been real terrible around here. Last video you saw, she made 904 wheel horsepower. Let's take a little look at her real quick, show you guys. Here she is, fresh off the dyno, and I've been driving around a little bit. Did a couple, drove for a couple days on the street before the weather got real bad, and thing's just an absolute monster. I just couldn't be happier with it. Spools really fast, just makes a ton of power. Just almost makes too much power, honestly, for the street. It's all over the road. And you know, I got Michelin Pilot Sports on it, but still not enough. So one thing I am worried about this car, it's got the stock transmission in it. So stock STI 07 6-speed that's been in this car for a while. So I've been trying to be nice to it. I'm not launching it or beating on it, because I know that transmission is well over its power limit, and that's probably going to be the next thing that goes if I'm not nice to it. So I've been taking it easy on her, just enjoying the car and driving her, you know, when the weather's nice, when I can. But she stays in the garage nice and cozy. So cleaning up the garage, decided to pull it out and make a little video today. So I got a topic I got to talk to you guys about. So a topic that comes up a lot, that I've been dealing with for years, doesn't make any sense to me, and it's just one of those things that I see happen all the time in this industry, and excuse me, and it's dumb. So we're going to talk about it. So today we're going to talk about going to get your car built or tuned somewhere. You go to a shop, take your car there, you have them build it, they do all the work on it, they tune the car, they get it done, they deliver it to you, and for whatever reason you're not happy with something or it, and then you go to another shop. Well, I'm going to address that today, because honestly I think it's dumb, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. Of course, there are situations where things can get to a point where you have to do that, but 95% of the time, the cases that I deal with and I see, that is not the case. So, for example, somebody goes and gets their car built at a shop. They spend, you know, $30,000 with the shop. They do a crazy build on it. Car gets tuned. Car leaves. Shop doesn't hear anything back. We figure when the car leaves and we don't hear anything that everything's good. Well, what I've been seeing, and this is through friends, family, and me actually following a lot of builds and where they go and the longevity. What actually happens is the person gets a car back, and a couple things can happen. One thing that can happen that's super common is the car does something weird that it's never done while it was in the hands of the people that built and tuned it. This happens a lot. You can't always tune for every single condition the car's going to see. Sometimes, you know, cold starts, just there's all kinds of things that come up. Somebody drives a car to the mountain, they take it on a really long trip, and you know, they find something that the car just does weird or doesn't do right, they're not happy with. So what the person should do in this situation is contact the person that built the car or tuned it. This is rarely the case, and if this is the case, they don't make a very good effort, if any at all, to get the car back in to get it figured out. So there's a lot of people out there that figure, you know, well, if they couldn't get it right the first time, why should I take the car back? Obviously they don't know what they're doing or whatever. Couldn't be further from the truth. I've been building and tuning cars for almost 20 years. I've tuned and built everything from 300 horsepower to 1400 horsepower on a Subaru, and shit happens. A lot of stuff can happen. You know, I like to think that I'm really good at building these cars, and I'm very proficient and professional. But even then, you know, there's things that you can't foresee happening when you're doing cars of this caliber and this build. Things happen. Things loosen up. things need, addressed, attention, whatnot. Stuff happens. I've had cars I've built personally, and somebody has been, not happy with something, and they won't reach out to me at all. I don't hear anything about it except the next time I see a video of it at another shop on the dyno getting retuned for whatever reason. And I just kind of laugh at it. It's kind of dumb because one, not only are you wasting your money doing this, taking it to another shop and paying more money to go through it, but there's always this thing that goes around that, oh, they found this wrong and that wrong, and oh, the car, had so many problems that I wasn't aware of and whatever. Well, I'm here to say a lot of shops that will get a build in that is built by somebody else that's very big are going to almost always say they find something that they don't like or something's wrong. Does this mean that the car was built wrong? No, it doesn't. It just means that those shops do things a little bit differently than somebody else. And the customer will take that as, oh, well, the car wasn't built right. So this cycle goes on. I see this cycle happen all the time. Doesn't matter who builds a car. I've seen cars built from everybody in this business that have come to me at some point with people bitching about stuff or complaining how they were treated or the way the car drives. And a lot of times, a lot of it's not even valid, honestly. Some of it is. I've had some cars come to me from, built somewhere that were built clearly wrong. That does happen. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. And that person, I know they reached out and tried to get it fixed, and the person that built the car was just not capable of fixing it properly because it was a car that was over their head. So that stuff does happen. But what I'm here to talk about is 95% of the time when this can all be prevented. So if you go to get your car built somewhere and you spend a considerable amount of money, say you spend 15, 20 grand, that's pretty minimal these days for a car that's blown up that you're coming back with like 400 horsepower with some, some upgrades and whatnot. It's gonna be about 20 grand. So, those people get their car back. You get your car back. If something's not right, the car doesn't start the way you think it should, the car has a drivability problem or has a leak or something, take that car back to where you built it and got it built. You are entitled to have that car rechecked at a bare minimum because not only did you pay a lot of money to have the car built, but almost every reputable person in this business that builds these cars guarantees their builds and their labor. I know we do. At PRE, we guarantee everything we build, labor, craftsmanship-wise, as long as no clear abuse or negligence has happened. And we can tell. I build enough cars where I can tell when I take a motor apart if there's negligence or something happened. But we guarantee all the motors through the power tuning process. We prove that the motor is built right and is going to go on the dyno and make the power it's supposed to, and that there's no metal in the filters during this process. That proves that the car is built right. Now, down the road, if something were to come up, let's say the car doesn't want to start, it idles rough, it misses, or does something weird, bring the car back in. Call us. Let us know. 99% of the time, the shop will take the car in, diagnose it for free, or at least work with you and try to figure out what's going on to make you happy. Now, if the shop does not do that and you give them the opportunity to look at the car and fix it, that's a different issue. So unfortunately, that does happen out there, but I can tell you right now that does not happen at my shop. When we get a car back in, if there's something wrong with it right after we built it, we take care of it, as long as there's no negligence or abuse. And even then, most of the time, we just take care of it because we want to see people happy. We like to see people come in, spend their money, get their cars built with us. And I personally like to see the person enjoy the car for a long time. I follow up with people over time, and I've had people say, oh man, I got it retuned somewhere else because I just didn't like the way it drove. And I'm like, well, why didn't you say anything? And they're like, oh, I just got it done. Well, you know what? That's wrong. That's wrong because that doesn't give the person that built the car the opportunity to make sure that it is right and the best it can be. Now, I personally don't understand this mentality, this what happens. I mean, my personal experience when I get stuff worked on for myself, if something's not right, I go right back. And I'm like, yo, this isn't right. I paid you. Can you please look at it and make it right? And I have almost always had the person make it right. There is a few times where I've been burned, lesson learned, but I'm here to tell you, all the major shops out there, including ours, we will not do this. We don't burn people. We don't try to take advantage of people. We want people to enjoy their cars, make a lot of power, and last as long as humanly possible. And that's why I'm constantly following up with people, asking them how their car's doing years later. Some people, will say, oh, it's fine, or, I haven't had any problems, that's great, but even then I still don't see those people coming in for oil changes and just maintenance and inspections. If you guys have, a car built and it's making 400 plus horsepower, you need to get that car in a minimum of once a year to the place that built it to go over it, make sure there's no leaks that are going to turn to something major, and that everything's good. Because on a modified car, stuff happens, things creep up. It's just the nature of the game. It doesn't matter who built it, stuff's going to happen. Sometimes we get cars that we build, they make 800 horsepower and we don't have to touch a thing for like a year or two and it goes flawless. That's rare, but it does happen. So my biggest thing is if you guys are out there, you're not happy about something with your tuner or the person that built your car, communicate with us or them and tell them. Tell them you're not happy. Tell them why you're not happy. And make sure you're also being reasonable. Because if you go off the handle on somebody and just start cussing them out, or post online how your car runs like shit and you're not happy about it, then the person's not going to want to help you out as much. And I don't blame them, because there is a certain level of respect and courtesy that goes, both ways on this. So be respectful, be polite, and just reach out and say, hey, the car's running pretty good, but I'm not happy with the cold start. When I start it up, it dies, or I start it up and the idle hunts up and down for the first 5 minutes. Can you look at that for me and just make sure everything's okay? And then the last part of it is you have to trust, right? So if you get your tuner the log, or you send it to them and they look at it and they're like, yeah, everything looks good. There's nothing wrong with it. You got nothing to worry about. You need to trust that. Now, I understand sometimes some people will brush things under the rug because they don't want to deal with it. But most of the tuners out there that I deal with and I see in this business are good enough to know when something's okay and everything will be okay. So, one example I'll give you is I've seen this before happen, where car leaves, car's tuned, everything on, checks out. Guy doesn't like the way it warms up and idles. It hunts up and down as it warms up when it's got big injectors and all this other stuff going on to it, right? So he gets frustrated and he goes to another tuner. Went to another tuner. Oh yeah, they fixed it. They nailed it. Such and such sucks now because they couldn't figure that out. And this other tuner, they nailed it. Well, sometimes things do get missed, but most of the time, 99% of the time, there's a mechanical problem that's underlining these issues. And that new tuner might have stumbled on it and fixed a mechanical issue that fixed the issue. Or I've actually seen this where some tuners will just cover that issue up and they'll tune around it. I've seen people, they'll target just a really rich AFR to make the car idle better because it has huge injectors in it. That's not fixing the problem. That's a Band-Aid. But the customer sees it idle smooth now. They don't know any better and they're like, oh, it's fixed. So that happens a lot. I've actually seen that quite a few times on cars that I built and tuned that have gone somewhere else and were supposedly fixed. So there's a lot of things going on when you're building these cars, when you're making a lot of power, using a lot of different parts. And I just urge you guys out there that are having these cars built that are not happy and start jumping around to different shops. Just before you do that, try and make an effort to have the original builder and tuner fix the car and address your issue if there is a fix. It's the right thing to do, and it prevents a lot of future problems. Excuse me, this cough just won't go away. And it's just something that I've seen, I've noticed be a problem for years. I've been in this business for almost 20 years, and I've seen this a lot. This has happened to me. This has happened to other people I know, and there's really no reason for it. Most of the guys out there now, they're tuning these cars. They're really good at doing it. That we've got these cars figured out. There's no reason why they can't run really good. Is it going to run as good as, is this car going to idle as good as a stock 04 Forester? Hell no. This car has big cams in it. It's got huge injectors in it. It's got different fuel rails, pressure, pumps. There's so many things that have changed on this car. It's never going to idle like stock ever again. Can it idle pretty good because it's on a standalone? Yeah, I've got it idling pretty good. Is it perfect? No. I drive this car in all different kinds of weather and conditions, And I find myself on this car, because it's so modified with the standalone and everything, my laptop's always in the back seat. And I'm making tweaks on it all the time. I'll fire it up, when it's like 6 degrees outside and it doesn't want to start. And when it starts, it's running super lean. I'll go in there real quick and I'll add some fuel, because those are tables that I've never been in before on certain conditions. And that's what you guys got to understand, is there's a million tables to run an engine. And if you're not in every condition seeing what happens, then there's no way you can be expected to nail that, right out of the gate. So that's the thing. We'll see, a lot of times we'll build these cars and we'll do ethanol, we'll do flex fuel. And the day we tune the car, it's like 50, 60 degrees out, right? Well, we know that, we can do the math and figure out a pretty close percentage on how much cranking pulse width we need to add, below 50 degrees Fahrenheit to get the car decent. We make those guesstimates and we put those in the maps that we build. But until we're actually in front of the car when it's that cold and start the car and watch the FR, we don't know. So that's where you guys are going to come in and go, well, I went up to Timberline Lodge and my car won't start at Timberline on E85, or when it started, it ran absolutely horrible because it was 15 degrees outside. Well, in that situation, what you need to do is take a data log immediately of what's going on with the car, reach out to us and give us all that information, and we can send you an update and we'll make you a map. We'll adjust the map, we'll add some fuel up there, and we'll try to work with you and take care of it. That doesn't happen enough. That's what needs to happen, you guys. When you have a problem with your car, data log it, get it to your tuner, figure out if it's mechanical or if it's a tune issue, and go from there. And if you've exhausted all resources and your tuner's just blowing you off and not responding, being a jerk, not getting the results you want, then it might be time to seek another tuner. But until you've exhausted all those possibilities, I'm here to say I find it hard to believe that you're going to have to go somewhere else, because everybody in this business is good at what they do for the most part. From everybody I know, there are some few exceptions that I don't think should be tuning these cars in this business or working on them at this level, but we have a lot of really good shops around here and a lot of good people. And I'm pretty confident that you guys can get the product you want if you just are open with communication and just be very, very honest with your tuner. So let me ask you guys a question. Let's say you go to a shop, your car built and tuned there. You don't think it's making as much power as it should. You go back, you talk to them, you're like, hey, I want to push the car harder. It should be making more power. I saw XYZ car make this much power on the internet somewhere else on Instagram being tuned by whoever. Shop's like, look, we've already done the most we can on your car, blah, blah, blah. You get mad, you go somewhere else, you get an E-tune. They turn it up. They say they make more power through an E-dyno or whatever, virtual dyno. And you do it that way. Here's why this is a problem. Why do you think the original person that built your car isn't comfortable or might not want you to go make as much power as you think the car should? Because that person is looking out for your best interest, whether you like it or not. It's not that they're holding you back. It's that they don't want to see you have problems with the build. How can you fault them for that? They're trying to protect your investment. Now, if you were to have your car built at our shop and this happened, and you were to come down with this conversation, we'd sit you down and we would explain why your car's making what it's making. And if you wanted more power, we would give you the steps to improve the setup to make more power safely so that we don't, jeopardize the reliability. That's the way it should be. Now, if your shop is not doing that and you've tried everything, then maybe it's time to go to another shop, have them look at your car, go over the build, tell you what they think the car is capable of making, and then making a decision and going from there. But just going to another e-tuner and just telling them what you got and saying, turn this thing up to the moon and go for it, it's not very smart in my opinion, because you're gambling with your build, your investment, your money. That person has no obligation to keep things together or make the build safe, because it's not his motor. Why does he care? He just wants to get you the number you want and make your car feel as fast as possible so that you're happy with him. He doesn't care if your motor blows up. He might say he does, but if it does blow up, there's no skin off his back. He'll probably sell you a motor. So you guys really need to get smart and think about this stuff before you start, doing it, because I see this happen a lot. It happens all the time. So, once again, communication is key. talk to your tuner, be very clear about what you want and what your expectations are from the build, and make them work with you. And you won't have any problems, I promise you. If you've picked a builder that is reputable and has been around for a long time and knows these cars very well, I feel very confident to say you won't have any problems. You know, that's just the reality of it. When you go to pick somebody to build your car, do your homework. Pick somebody that's been in business for a long time, that has done your car a lot and has a lot of experience with doing your car. That is key. That is how you get a good product and the most for your money. So that being said, you know, that's how I feel about this topic. So on another note, I do have some content coming for you guys very soon on Scarlett. Scarlett's going to get some progress done finally. I've decided to start moving forward because I'm going to be trying to get Scarlett race ready for next season. So a lot of work. It's going to be tons of videos on that. The car's got a lot of work to do. So yeah, got some content for Scarlett coming, everybody that's been asking. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap this one up, finish cleaning my garage, and get back at it. So thanks for all the support. Like and subscribe. Till the next one. See you later.